Hi, my name is Bob Franzoni. I'm Executive Director of CATV. We have a great show today. We call it different things. Let's talk trash or recycling wrap. And so we have two great guests here. I'm going to start over here. Give me a little background, who they are and what they do. Let's talk with Simon, my far left. Give him talk your name and your profession and if you are a town officer.
Okay, yeah, my name is Simon Dennis, and I work for the Center for Transformational Practice, which is a nonprofit here in town, which works on sustainability issues. And I am on the Hartford Select Board, and I am also the Select Board liaison to the Hartford Solid Waste Committee.
I'm Todd Allen. I'm a fairly new resident of Hartford, moved here in the summer of 2012. I work at Mascoma Savings Bank, and I'm the chair of the Solid Waste Committee.
So one of the topics this year in the town of Hartford is recycling. And for a long time, they've had curbside recycling, where they drive and you pick up your recycling. What's the history behind that recycling in the town of Hartford? How long has that been? And bring us up to the modern, right today.
Yeah, my understanding is that the recycling program was voted in at town meeting approximately 15 years ago. And that since then, there has been, originally it was a method where you would sort the recycling into, I'd say, 4 or 5 different categories: glass, paper, cardboard, plastics, and that type of thing. And it would be picked up at the curbside. So that's sort of the history coming into this. About 2 years ago, when the Select Board caught wind of Act 148 coming online, which we'll talk about more later, the question as to whether or not the town should fund the recycling program kind of came up. And at that time, it was a $150,000 contract with Casella Waste Services. And at that time, let's see, I'm going to say 2 years ago, it was taken out of the budget, and there was a lot of back and forth about it, and then finally there was a push to put it back in the budget, and some of us who were more in favor of recycling did succeed in keeping it in the budget to continue the program for another year. And this year, things again were pretty tight with finances, and the decision was made to take it out of the budget.
So recycling, the curbside recycling is for White River or all 5 communities of Hartford?
The whole town of Hartford.
The whole town of Hartford, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the question about who's covered in that recycling program has been investigated, and the answer is just about everybody.
Households, not commercial. If you're a business, you have your own contract with the waste hauler. So
Okay.
it's really it includes condominium complexes, apartment buildings, all residences.
Okay. And no fees to the citizens, but paid by taxes.
Right. Right.
Okay. And so this year is come up again, and is it not in or not in the budget?
It is not in the budget. However, the Select Board has decided to put it forward, put it back to the voters to make a decision as to whether or not it's a service that they want to continue paying for, or whether or not that they'd like to take it out of the budget for real and discontinue the service. So that vote is going to come up on March 3rd.
Okay. I think it's useful to talk about Act 148 at this point. Act 148, with regard to recycling, says that effective July 1st of this year, mandated recyclables, and it's a long list. It's the plastics, it's the metals, it's all sorts of paper, cardboard, corrugated, are mandated to not go into the landfill, into any state landfill. And so it's also mandating that if someone has a contract with a hauler, whether it's Casella or another vendor, that vendor now has to, effective July 1st, has to start taking recycling, in addition to taking household waste, unless the municipality in which that resident lives is offering curbside recycling. So when the Select Board decided to take it out, that basically said, okay, if you have a hauler, they're going to start offering it to you. And they can't charge a separate fee for recycling, but they can charge an increased fee for the entire, both household waste and recycling.
So if it's so right now where I recycle in Castleton, Vermont, I go to my transfer center and I have my cardboard, and we're having a few minutes to show what can or cannot be recycled. I have my cardboard, I have my cans, I have my plastic, and I go different bins and put them in there. And in the recycling, I put them there to recycle for the local high school. So would that have to happen in Hartford?
That happens. That's the
Can
transfer
happen now.
station takes recycling today.
Okay.
It's not single sort. Curbside is single sort or single stream or zero sort, a lot of different names. You put all the recycling into one bin. Simon's got a bin here. I use large containers. It just all goes in, and then that gets separated at a facility that Casella owns in Rutland.
So could you
at the transfer station, it is not single sort. You can take it to the transfer station, and people do, but they do some sorting. They're doing less sorting now than they used to. All the plastics, depending on that symbol that's on the 1 through 7, they used to have to sort that themselves at the transfer station here in Hartford. They don't have to do that anymore. So it's getting better and easier, but that will continue. Because roughly, I think 1 in 5 households in Hartford are using the transfer station as their means of recycling and getting rid of waste. They buy a sticker, annual sticker, so that they can use the transfer station. They charge $3.25 for a 30-gallon container, so it's a punch card system. So not everyone is using a hauler to take their waste away. I don't use a hauler. I take it down to the transfer station, my garbage, but I don't take the recycling anymore because single sort curbside is so convenient.
Could you explain to people what single sort is?
It's basically all the recyclables can go into one container. And Casella comes by on once every 2 weeks, and picks it up. There's a schedule for every street in the town of Hartford. Mine is early Monday morning. And they throw it into they use the waste truck, the dump truck, as a recycling truck. They then take that to a facility that they own in Rutland, which is pretty fancy because it's a facility that you throw all the recycling in, and it separates it out into the different types of recyclables: paper and cardboard, plastics, glass, metal. Haven't seen it in work, seen it in action, but it's quite a big investment, and they make money on that because they can then sell that. So it's a business that Casella has moved into. So zero sort or single stream, basically all your recycling can go into one container, where we used to have to put it into separate
So it's
bins.
non-trash, is everything.
Right, right. It is. It's that's you don't want to put. You don't want to. They don't like pizza boxes because if the cardboard's been contaminated with oil, that would get rejected. So, but there's a lot of things that most of the things that you use in your household, chances are they can be recycled instead of sent to the dump.
So the trash part of Hartford, they had to go to recycling. They either haul it away with a separate hauler or go to the recycling center. For the
If a household needs to get rid of their
garbage.
household waste,
Yes.
yes, they either have someone pick it up and pay a fee, or they take it to the transfer station.
Okay.
Hopefully.
Okay.
Or they throw it in a ravine. We hope we're not. They're not doing that.
Hope not the ravine. And you're telling me, I realize it's only one landfill in the state of Vermont.
Yes.
And
There's only one landfill in Vermont, and so Act 148 is the legislature saying this is a precious resource for the state, and we need to be cognizant about what's going in there. And there are a lot of things that shouldn't go in there. And other aspects of Act 148 go on to composting and organic waste, food scraps. Over the next several years, they're going to phase in, depending on how big a producer you are of food waste. And eventually, by 2020, the state is saying food waste will not be allowed in the landfill anymore, which will mean that households have to figure out a way to recycle. Municipalities will have to figure out a way to compost, not recycle, compost that household waste. So that's another thing that Act 148 will be impacting residents in the town over the next couple of years.
Simon, what's the average life of a landfill?
I mean,
What is
in
the
general,
what's the
when you
expected
talk
life
about
of a landfill?
when you're talking about the lifespan and development of landfills,
Yeah.
we talk in century, a 100-year chunk of time. Landfills come online. We're thinking well in advance for the Hartford landfill to come online, and once it starts up, depending on the size of the landfill and its ability to expand, it can last anywhere from 15 years to 100 years.
But Hartford is not part of the Heartland landfill.
Hartford is not part of the Greater Upper Valley Solid Waste District, and the Greater Upper Valley Solid Waste District is the owner of that landfill.
So where do you take your potential landfill go?
So right now the arrangement is to the Hartford residents take their, let's say C and D, to the Hartford transfer station.
C&D meaning?
Excuse me, construction and demolition.
Okay.
And I know the world of solid waste is full of acronyms, so you have to be careful. But anyway, take construction and demolition, and then it goes over to the Lebanon landfill.
Lebanon,
The landfill in Lebanon, New Hampshire, has been taking trash and C&D from a very wide swath, and their horizon for how long they're going to stay in effect is sort of open to some speculation. But my understanding is that it's at least another 15 years?
At least 15 years.
At least another 15 years, but possibly if they decide to expand, it could go right out pretty close to
60 years or
to
more.
the end of the century. So in other words, all of the question about what the Lebanon landfill does impacts what the Greater Upper Valley Solid Waste District. We don't need to go into all the details, but
right.
anyway, they're all interlinked between those two. Yeah.
So how do you think what do you have read in the voters, both of you, how you think they're going to vote on March 3rd on the curbside recycling?
Well, as Simon said, over the last couple of years, it's come up at the select board as they've been doing budgeting for the last couple of years. And partly because of Act 148, it got passed a couple of years ago, and the select board, I think, was a little confused about when it actually went into effect. So there have been a couple of meetings of the select board over the past couple of years where this topic has been discussed, and a number of residents have come to the meeting, and I would say the vast majority have been in support of continuing curbside recycling, town-wide, town-paid, through the taxes, curbside recycling. So we think it's a very popular program. We think that probably about 60% of the households are using some sort of a hauler for their trash, not for recycling, for their trash. And as I said, we know about maybe 20% are going to the transfer station. So it's a program that we think a lot of people are using. There were two studies that were done around recycling and trash by a company down in Windsor, DSM Environmental Services. They did their first one in 2012, and this was specifically for the town of Hartford. And they tried to figure out how many people are using the transfer station, how many people are using curbside recycling. And the numbers really vary, but anywhere from 40 to 65% is what they found by just doing some sampling and some interviewing and following the trucks around while they were doing their recycling runs. It's hard to estimate how many apartments are doing it, so it's really not easy to get their arms around. So that's a pretty good number. We think, anecdotally, we think that number, I, and I think other members of the committee, and I think Simon agrees, think that that number's probably higher, that more people are using curbside recycling today than that. Partly because when the study was done in 2012, people were still sorting their recycling at the curbside. When zero sort came into play about 2 years ago, we think it only could make participation go up because it really is so easy to do that.
Right. I know when I go to Castleman, they said this is not a zero sort facility. So it had, let everybody know. I think they make money out of, selling the bottles and the metals. And it helps, sustain the transfer center. It's only like $1 a bag for your trash there. So
it's hard to, the town, Hartford does, Hartford takes the recycling at the transfer station and they sell it back. The town's not making money on recycling. At best, break even, actually probably losing a little money. And the recycling market is a commodity market, so prices can be good at times, prices can be bad at times. And unless you have really extensive storage facilities to wait for prices to get better, it's difficult to make money in recycling.
How many of the surrounding Upper Valley communities have roadside pickup right now?
We know that Enfield and Plainfield over in New Hampshire have it. Those are the only two towns that I know of in the Upper Valley.
Bob, when you ask
other
roadside pickup, do you mean recycling?
Recycling,
pickup?
yeah. So I think Hanover does, doesn't it? I see.
It's a really
I
good
think Hanover
question.
might, yeah. We haven't
I
been
don't know the
focused on
answer.
other
Okay,
towns.
that's
We
good.
do know because we've talked to the town managers at Enfield and Plainfield about their programs, and the committee has in doing its work, so we know those two communities are doing it.
Bob, can I loop back to the
Sure.
question you had just asked previously about how the town's going to go? My understanding is that we have an estimated 70 to 80% of people have a contract with the Curbside waste hauler contract. Someone, in other words, put their trash out on the curb.
And they pay for it.
And they pay for it on an individual basis. And and we also, our assumption is that somewhere in the vicinity of, and I'm going to repeat it again because there's so many numbers flying around, but somewhere in the vicinity of half the town is using the recycling program. The people who are recycling, the people who have a contract, they're likely to end up having to spend more money out of pocket to pay for the rate increase on their solid waste contract, their contract with their
If the town
hauler.
doesn't pick it up.
Right.
If the town
Okay.
doesn't pick it up, those haulers are going to have to pick it up, and
Right.
when they do, they're going to have to increase their rates. How much? Somewhere around $10.
A month.
Could be 8, could be 12,
Yeah.
could be more. But anyway,
At least
somewhere
an
in that
average around
vicinity.
10 they give you.
So that's a yearly bill, let's say, of $120. If we can continue to do it at the town level, the cost to the taxpayer is going to be much less than that, maybe a third of that, somewhere in the vicinity of a third of that overall fee, $35, $40, somewhere around there. So the financial argument in favor of discontinuing the program for that 70 to 80% of the population doesn't work out.
Okay, so let's go back a little bit. So currently, the town pays for roadside pickup.
Right.
So if it's voted not to, the residents will have to pay someone else to do it on individual basis. And even though the company who does it may not have, or probably doesn't, except for Casella has zero sort, they would have to charge more money to the customer because they're going to have to sort it out. If it's done by the town, they'll probably contract with someone that will eventually be cheaper.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct. In other words, the citizens of the town who have a contract, in other words, the vast majority, are going to be offered the choice: do you want to take $3 out of your front pocket, or do you want to take a $10 bill out of your back pocket?
Okay.
And it's pretty clear. You know,
Pretty clear, I think.
you can tell. It doesn't matter if you take it out of the front pocket or the back pocket. If it comes out of the same pair of pants, you gotta pay for it.
So I think if I was a citizen of Hartford, I would definitely vote for the town to do it.
I think certainly
makes sense.
If you're using curbside recycling today, you get the message.
Yeah.
You understand. If you're not using curbside recycling today, but you have a hauler, you will end up paying. Right now, you're paying in your taxes, even though you're not using it. You're paying for it, and you're paying about $3 a month. It's going to go up a little bit on 150,000, which is what it's been for the whole town for the last couple of years, a year, to 180,000. And Casella has said they haven't increased their rates for several years, so that's why it's going up to 180,000. So that means about roughly $4 a household for all the households. So if you're not using it, and you're using a hauler, you're going to pay more because that hauler is going to charge you more than they're charging you today. If you're not using it and it passes, we hope people will start using it.
Yeah.
And it's easy to recycle. Just put a container in your garage or in your back hall, and paper, plastic, metal, glass, throw it all into that container. And it can be any container. It doesn't have to be a recycling bin. I know the town sells recycling bins. You don't have to use those bins. You can use any bin. If you have a big cardboard box that you got something that came in a big cardboard box, you can use that, and they'll take the box away as well because that's recyclable. I do that often at the end of my driveway.
So Simon, one of the questions we have is what is recyclable? And I know you've got a little box there. So if you could put the box on maybe the table right there, we can go through and find out. Maybe we can ask what is recyclable, what's not recyclable.
Is this blocking the view here? Can I put it here and move this table out of the way?
I don't know, Emily, we need to come back and focus on the thing here, or, anyway, so. Okay, so we're gonna look at, pick a camera out, one of the, these up right here. So what do you have first thing right there, Simon?
Well, so first of all, I'll just say this is a single sort recycle bin.
Okay.
And I don't know, what does it say here? Where do we get it? Oh, it says a recycling symbol on the front. But this is similar to what you can purchase from the town for somewhere between $10 and $20.
Okay.
And since it's, I said single sort, what I meant to say was zero sort.
Zero sort.
Zero sort is the word. And so since it's zero sort, it has everything all mixed together.
Okay.
And when I say everything, I don't mean everything. I just mean recyclables.
Everything that
Things
can be
Everything that
recycled
can be
in one
recycled.
bin. Okay.
But there's a lot of nuances to what you can recycle and what you can't recycle. And so I just thought it would be interesting to,
I'm probably going to learn a few things.
well, me too as well. There's a sort of a, there's a kind of a, there's certain debate, you know, and I think within each household, everybody has their own style of how they
Yeah.
recycle. And probably no two people recycle exactly the same way. So I thought it might be fun just to kind of take out some of the items that were in here and see whether or not
Sure.
Great.
see whether or not we thought we could. So this bag here is actually the bag that comes out of the office. This is my office recycling bag, and so sometimes the mail that comes to the house that doesn't need to be, you know, that I don't want to hang on to goes into the office, the paper recycling bag. The paper is mixed paper. So in other words, glossy, this is sort of a matte, this is more of a glossy, this is a piece of wrapping paper, a letter somebody wrote me. Anyway, so all of that goes in, and it goes into the mixed paper recycling. All of that can be recycled.
Yep.
Along with,
And in the zero sort, they'll sort different type of papers out. You know, the glossy versus, or is it all together? Newspapers, okay.
it's all in the mixed paper.
Okay,
Newspaper goes in there. You can even, I mean, I have this in there as well. Maybe the MRF will be able to sort this out. Probably not. This will go into becoming whatever they do with mixed paper.
The MRF is the recycling facility that Casella
Okay.
manages in Rutland. That basically, all of this stuff
Oh,
goes
it's
into
huge.
that
I go
facility.
by it every week. It's a huge building. Huge. Go ahead.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's one.
So the paper bag is also recyclable.
Yep.
It all goes in there all together, and it
Okay.
all goes in the same
All right.
direction.
Yep.
Yeah. The nuances of how the MRF operates is a little bit mysterious, but we understand that basically it's sorting things into 5 categories.
Okay.
Uh,
All right. So
so what's this? Box of cereal, box board. This also you can put in your recycling bin. It's got a glossy surface, but I think, you know, it goes in. It ends up
there's a
being
difference between box board and cardboard,
correct.
and
They both can go.
they both can, I know they
Yep.
both can go, but
Yep.
you know.
Corrugated,
So I'm so
box
used to
board.
going to a certain bin and not doing this. We don't have curbside
Right.
where I am from.
Right.
Okay.
Box board. Okay, where do we go from here? Here's more box board. All of this just gets jammed into the recycling bin. Here, piece of tin foil. Todd, can we recycle this?
You can. It really should be as clean as possible, because if it's got a lot of food matter in it,
All right,
it
let's-
may get rejected by the MRF.
Let's see how we did here. Couple of crumbs on this piece of tin foil. This is up to standard, isn't it?
I would recycle that.
This is fine.
Yep.
All right.
So the MRF could tell if it has food on there or grease and reject it.
Right.
It can't probably. I mean, it just ends up. It ends up going into the material that ends up getting made out of it. So there'll be
Okay.
some level of contamination of the material that ends up reducing the value. So this is a yes. We recycle this.
Okay.
Good. By the way, I put there were some sort of extra random things here that I brought over here so we could find some things that you're not supposed to recycle. This, I think, is being one of them. Would you recycle this, Todd?
Well, I'm not seeing a symbol on it.
So a symbol
That,
means
that triangle, sort of that
triangle, okay.
triangle with the rounded edge, rounded corners.
Okay.
I would say this is not recyclable.
No, so we have to have another container nearby. We just
So
we'll set
anyway,
this
so you don't
aside
see
here.
a triangle with a number on any plastic, then it cannot be recycled.
Chances are.
Okay, so then it's trash.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this actually might not even, we should hang on to that
would
anyway.
use that. It
Yeah, that
looks-
looks,
it still looks
pretty
good.
good here. How about this?
Yes.
Recycle it.
Yep.
It's got this metal thing on the top here, Todd. Did you notice that?
I do see that, but in my household, I would put it in the recycling bin and let the people doing the
Let the MRF do its
processing
darn
figure it out.
job.
MRF
All right,
do
there
it,
you go.
right,
All right,
yep.
thank
All
you.
right.
That's a recycling bin here. How about this?
Metal can. Yep.
Yeah, you can recycle that.
Yep.
Recycle it. Yeah, great. How about this? There's a trick question here.
Well, that one probably should go back to the co-op or wherever it came. It's a milk bottle that says return for deposit. But if you chose not to, it's a glass bottle. It can be recycled.
Could be recycled, but you lose the deposit money. on
That's
it.
right.
Okay, all right. And
Okay, so deposit money, okay, so then they will actually clean it out and reuse it.
yeah, it's clean enough too.
My
Notice,
guess
by the
is
way,
if
it's been
that went
rinsed
in,
out.
if that went into this recycling bin, it would get crushed up and get recycled.
Okay.
It would not be reused as if you took it back to the
Okay.
store.
Oh, no, no. Okay, here's an interesting one here. Let's see what's going on here. Here it is. Look at this bottle.
Bottle with a plastic cap on it.
So what do we do with this,
Glass bottle with a
Todd?
plastic cap. Well, again, in my household, this would get recycled. The cap is probably made. It probably doesn't have a symbol on it, but I would then, if it's not recyclable, I'd let the facility take it out. But most of what you've got here is definitely recyclable.
Okay, so here we're into the nuances. My way of handling this would be to take the glass bottle, put the glass bottle into the bin, and take the cap and put it into the trash.
Okay.
But there's nuances. That's why we say no two people recycle
Okay,
exactly the same way.
So I have a bottle here,
yes.
and this is my question. I go here, even though this, let's say it wasn't recyclable, it's recyclable. do I leave the cap on? Is it recyclable? I'll leave the cap on and let the people who are recyclable do it, but the people who are not recyclable do the cap, are the caps recyclable?
Cap, my understanding is the cap is not recyclable.
Not recyclable.
Cap, you take off, put the cap in the trash, put the bottle
Okay.
in
As
the
I said, everyone's going to learn something here today.
Yeah, I was doing that, so I went to the dump and everybody had the caps on. I said, well, I would take it off as using your trash. So now I was doing it right the original time.
Well, there's an opportunity to, one, let's get clarification on it, and two, then start spreading the message and educating people
Yeah.
about what,
Sure.
what really is
Yeah.
recyclable with regard to caps.
Speaking of a cap, here's a metal cap, a metal lid to a jar of some sort. That's recyclable.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it's
It is
recyclable, yes.
recyclable. How about this one here?
Can you see a symbol on it?
I see no symbol on it.
That's not recyclable.
Not recyclable. All right.
So, okay, what is the symbol? Obviously, you can recycle, but it must be a special kind of plastic that allows you to recyclable. I mean, and that doesn't have a symbol on it, and so it's made out of different materials, so it doesn't allow it to be recyclable.
Yeah, there's so many different types of plastics.
Okay.
I mean, I think there's seven different symbols, 1 through 7, and they're different compositions. That plastic,
Okay.
different compositions. Some of which are easily reused and recycled, and ones that don't have that symbol, they haven't. Unfortunately, packaging companies, haven't figured out a way to make a
Do it
package
yet.
that is recyclable.
Gotcha.
So, I think increasingly, as we've done our work on the Solid Waste Committee, we've learned that the waste stream is getting more and more recyclable. And so that's good for landfills, but you have to have households that will do it.
This is, if you look inside the little symbol, the symbol, by the way, looks just like this one here, right? I don't know if you can see it, but those three arrows inside the symbol is a little number,
Okay.
and the number is generally numbered 1 through 7. All of those
Can't do it. Okay.
we can go throw them right into the zero sort. This one here happens to have a number 5. I can just barely read it. So this would be a recyclable item here. How about a plastic bag, Todd? See if we can find one in here. Do I have a plastic bag in here?
You mean like a grocery bag?
Yeah, any kind of a. Let's say.
That's cardboard.
This is cardboard, but it's got a little plastic window in it here.
You take the plastic window out. Everything else.
We have this piece of plastic here. Can we recycle this?
I would have recycled the entire box, and again, let the facility decide.
Okay. Yeah.
Because one way or the other, if I throw it into my waste basket, which is not recycling but my garbage,
Yep.
it's going in the same place whether I do it or the facility does it.
Right.
So the plastic bags you get at the co-op, they're probably not recyclable.
They have the symbol on them.
Oh, they do?
They do.
Okay.
Really?
That's
I
interesting.
think. Well, some do.
That's interesting.
Some do. Maybe not all, but some grocery bags have the symbol on them. Can't remember what the number is, but some do.
So 1 through 7, it has 1 through 7 on there, and it has 1 to 7. We can recycle.
I believe the
those.
ones at the
Interesting.
co-op. I believe the ones at the co-op
Okay.
do have the recyclable symbol on them.
Well, like we said, we're learning something new every
Right,
day
right,
here.
right.
In general, the plastic bags that you bring food home in and use would be non-recyclable would be go into the trash. But if it has that symbol on it, then you're all set.
But most grocery stores now have, if you save them,
Yep.
and you can take them back to the grocery store, because most grocery stores in their front lobby have a place where you can put them. So they are recyclable, perhaps not in the zero sort stream, but they are recyclable. Just they have to be separated out. They either get, I'm sure they don't get reused, but they can get reprocessed.
So I just put a vinegar out, and I looked at the bottom, and I do not see a number in the bottom, so this is trash. That's my eyes.
Yes, it's there.
Oh, it's there?
Yep. See it?
Yes.
Yeah.
So where is it?
It's not easy to see, but it's there. Right there. I just covered it with my finger.
Okay. I take your word for it, because I still don't see it, but it's all right, interesting.
Maybe they should make the symbols larger.
Perhaps.
So anyways, I think we learned a lot today, and I think, I like your idea. If you're not sure, put it in there, because Murph can do it later.
Well, but
But
don't.
we should try to do it and be as knowledgeable as possible.
Right.
And as this vote goes through on March 3rd, I'm sure there are going to be informational hearings more on not only this, but other parts of the selectmen's budget. There's a pre-town meeting.
Yes.
Pre-town meeting, March 2nd. And
Third.
Town meeting is March 3rd.
3rd. Do you have a pre-town
There's an
meeting?
information meeting.
I lived in Norwich. Norwich had a pre-town meeting.
Yeah. What do we have? We have a
There's a candidates night.
there's candidates night on the
Candidates night.
21st, and then there's a community day on the 28th, I believe.
Okay.
Sorry, I don't.
The Saturday before town meeting.
Let me just check here, make sure.
So March 1st is a Sunday, so it'd be March 28th, February 28th.
Right.
28th, Saturday the 28th at 10 a.m. is the community day,
And where's that going to be?
and that's going to be over at the high school.
High school auditorium.
Yep.
High school auditorium, yeah.
Great.
Both candidates night and the
it's
community day is in the
gymnasium.
in the gymnasium.
Gymnasium.
And the
Community day
candidates-
is in the gymnasium. Candidates night is Monday the 2nd, and that's going to be the auditorium. And I'm sure they get online to find out more about the budget and different ideas coming through, and you probably have a part of the website dedicated to recycling or waste management.
Well, we're trying to get the word out about
Right.
questions that people have asked on the Hartford discussion group, the listserv that
Listserv.
a lot of people use. The committee has written a letter to the editor of the Valley News answering some questions about recycling and participation. There's some Facebook pages that are oriented towards the town of Hartford that we're trying to post on. So we're trying as the committee to get the facts out, let people know what the facts are, and so that they can make an informed decision.
Great. Well, thank you, Mary, and we'll play the show a lot on CATV Channel 8, and we put on, put on a Vimeo page so people can link to it, and we'll gladly send you the link so you want to refer to it.
Good.
And thank you very much for coming on. I really appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Bob.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, pleasure.
And good luck everything. And thank you for watching our show today, and hope you have both come back sometime after the vote goes through, talk about future,
Be happy to do that.
yeah. You can do some more quizzes too. Thank you very much for watching.